Graham, how are you today? Happy New Year. This is my first live of 2025. I'm so excited to be here with you. And what I'm going to be talking about today is what you need to do if you want to write a screenplay this year. So this is going to be about writing a screenplay, and not just this year. Actually, I think if your plan is to write a screenplay this year, then what you want to do is plan to be writing it for the next 6 months, and then plan to be getting it out into the world in the 6 months following that. So I see a bunch of you are coming on live. If you catch me live a lot or you're part of my world, please say hello so I can say Happy New Year to you. And if this is your first time catching me live, let me know that too, so I can say a special Happy New Year to you as well. I'm so happy to see so many people. Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year to everybody. So this was inspired by the fact that my inbox suddenly seems full of people. Hello, Street Flag. My inbox suddenly seems full of people saying, I want to write a script this year. What do I do? What should I do? So I thought, let's just have a chat about it. And I actually realized as I prepared for this that there's going to be probably 2 sessions. I'm probably going to do one again tomorrow at the same time. So the first part is today, and today we're going to be talking about the real foundations. And then tomorrow we'll get into some more nitty gritty practical things of what you'll need to do if you want to write a screenplay this year, in the sooner part of this year, not just the later part this year. So I'm just seeing Gava, Happy New Year. I'm so happy to see you. 2025 is going to be a good one for you. Untold Short Shorts is here. Hello, welcome. Imagine a Glow, hello. Happy New Year. MacArthur, the 94. Mac the Arthur. I don't know how to say it. 94, hello and welcome. I'm so happy to see you. PYT, first time, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year to you. I hope that is getting off to a good start. Baby girl, baked, 94. Oh, we've got a few 94s here today. Hello, New Year, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Happy New Year to Maria, Natasha. You want to write your script, you're going to write your script, you're going to finish your script. Baby girl, you're so welcome. So as I said, what we're going to do today is we're going to discuss the real foundations, because when I started just scribbling down some notes of what I wanted to cover, I realized that there's quite a bit. So today's going to be the first part and tomorrow's going to be the second part. So this just turned into a 2-part class. But today what I want to talk about specifically is the things that really will stop you and really will derail you. And I really speak from experience here, because if you know me at all, you will know that when I wrote my first screenplay, it actually took me 3 years to do that. That is something that I do not want for you. If you want to write your screenplay this year, I want you to write it this year. And as I said, I feel like actually your goal, if you're starting pretty much from scratch, I think a healthy goal is that you would spend the first half of the year at least really working on the script and getting it into great shape. And then the second half, you could actually be starting to put it out into the world. Okay. So that would be my goal if I was starting from scratch. By the way, you guys, just if you haven't heard the news, I do have a screenplay that I'm working on right now. I am so freaking excited about it. It's crazy. Life is crazy. Like for a long time, I just felt like my desire to write films and make them had just sort of gone out. And I thought, okay, I just feel like teaching. I love teaching and mentoring, and that's what I'm here to do. And it's great, and I'm so happy to do that. But a script has come back for me, and I am working on a script again. And so I'm with you. I'm in the trenches with you, and I'm setting myself as the goal. I want to, because I'm working on a script that I actually worked on before, so this is not a brand new script for me. I've got a pretty solid draft already. It was pretty well developed when I abandoned it quite a few years ago. So it's in pretty good shape, but I know how to take it to the next level. So I'm going to be rewriting a script in the next few months. My goal is to spend the first 3 months rewriting and then get into, and then start taking it out and getting it made. Oh, I'm so excited and nervous and scared and all the things. I hope you feel those things too. That's what it is. That's what making movies is. It's like exciting and nerve-wracking and like, what the fuck am I doing? So good. So good. Oh, thank you. I know. I'm super excited. I have a script I've been developing since last year. I get overwhelmed. Okay, yeah. So that's what we're going to talk. We're going to talk about this exact stuff today. Baby girl, you are in a good place. Now, you might also know, as I said, my very first screenplay that I wrote, which was way back in the early 2000s. God, I feel old. It took me 3 years to write it, and it was really a hard process. Since then, I got into a groove with screenwriting, and I really cracked a system for myself to write a first draft fairly fast. For me, the hardest part of screenwriting, I don't know about you guys, the hardest part is getting that first draft down. I always say this, once you've got that first draft, you've got something, like you can go. But until you have that first draft, it's sort of like there's nothing to work on. So my course, and just to mention this, Write Your Screenplay in 8 weeks, and the registration is open. That will guide you to write the first draft. It won't get you to a finished draft that's ready to go out into the world, because that takes more work, right? Your first draft is like, people call it the vomit draft. It's just like getting something down so you have something to work with. To actually get it ready to go out to the world can take a lot longer than that. And one thing that I want you to trust in this whole process for yourself, if your goal is to write a script this year, is that it sometimes takes the time it takes. A lot of us, we would like to be done like this, but actually sometimes it just takes longer. We've got to trust that and trust the process. Now, what I want to share with you is 4 main points if you want to write your script this year. And these are 4 things as well that if you don't deal with these will derail you and they will stop you. And you will reach the end of 2025 and be like, oh God, I still didn't write my script. I didn't do it. I really wanted to and I didn't do it. So let's talk about those 4 things that really could derail you or stop you from writing a script. And if you get these in order, then you are like game on. There's nothing that can stop you. You're going to do it. And the beautiful thing about actually just writing a script is it's on you. There's nobody else. Like selling a script, we get into like, actually it's like we got to find someone who's going to buy it. Making a movie, we got to find someone who's going to give us the money, right? There are other people involved in those decisions. Not to say that you cannot do it, not to say that you could be stopped or should be stopped. But what I am going to say is writing a script, this is about you. This is not about anybody else. It's just you. Oh, Dogfish, you've hit it on the net. I can't believe you remembered it. It's that one. It's that screenplay. It's called STEM. That's the one that I've come back to. I'm obsessed with. Okay, you got pen and paper. Okay, good. And by the way, if you're on my email list, I will send you a link. I'll have to say this will be on Instagram, so you can watch it later if you need to come back to it. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to say about deciding to write your script and actually following through with it is we've got to actually just tune out the noise. I have this big thing about writing and creation that it's very private and it's very blinkers on, and it's very much about dropping into your truth, your quiet, and opening your channel. Now, things that block your channel and things that will muddy it, and I say channel, I really do think of it as this. I don't think you make up your screenplay. I don't think you create it in the sense that like you think it up and you like do it all. For me, it's like it already exists. I know this sounds a little bit weird, but bear with me. It's like somehow the film already exists, the story exists, and your job is just to become this channel to let it come through into the world. And I think like your inspiration, like you wake up one day with an idea for a script and you're like, oh, wouldn't that be a good idea? Like, where did that come from? Where did that come from? I mean, I actually feel like we're all drawing from the same well. There's like some sort of like super consciousness with all the ideas for all the stories, and certain stories want to be birthed into the world at certain time. So if you're going to write a script, like there's some story that's come knocking in your consciousness, and it might be a story from your life at some point. It might be a story from who knows when, but right now you feel it. Just out of interest, if you're here with me live, do you have a story that you feel you want to make a script with? Do you have a story that's like, yes, I've got this story, and maybe you're like, I don't really know where it came from, but it's like, I know that this would make a great film, and it's just something that's coming through. I feel more prepared now to come back to my sci-fi screenplay. Okay, yes. Stump Manji said yes. Okay, good. Yes. And it's like, isn't it fascinating, you guys? Like, I don't know if you feel this. Like, it's like, where did that story come from? And some of you might be like, it was part of my life, or I read about it somewhere. But it's fascinating, right? It's like this story has chosen you to birth it into the world. Now, I think of our scripts as being like our babies, and I think of you as being like the mother of the script, right? And that's, bear with me, even if you're a man, you're the mother of the script, because you are the one, you're the channel for it to come into this world. It couldn't come into this world unless you took the time and the energy to get it onto the page. You're that one. You are that mother, right? Oh, thank you, baby girl. I'm so happy you're here, right? So that's the way that it's going to come into the world. Now, just like having a baby, when we grow a baby in our womb, and it's dark and it's quiet and it's private there. And I feel like to actually birth your script, you also have to like insulate yourself a little bit. You have to become very conscious about what you let into your bubble. Because what you want to do at the early stages of like writing your script and of getting it done is really create a situation in which your subconscious mind is caught up in the script. right? And it's a little obsessive. And this is what I mean, like, tune out the noise. You know, when you have an obsessive love affair, has anybody here had an obsessive love affair, like fallen in love and you're like obsessed and you literally really can't think about anything other than your lover, right? And you can't think about any, like it's so hard to concentrate. It's so hard to do anything, right? Because you're just like, oh, does anybody here know what I'm talking about? Just hit yes. Okay, somebody's like yes. Okay, thank goodness, right? I'm not the only one who's experienced that. I feel like I've just revealed something. I feel a bit vulnerable now. But bear with me. That's what we want with your script, where it's like it's a little obsessive. So when I say tune out the noise, it's like tuning out the noise of like, you know, everything else. Like there's no distractions. You're not thinking about other scripts. You're not thinking about other movies. You're not thinking about what other people are doing. You couldn't give a shit, actually, because it's like you are just in this thing with your obsession, right? With your script. And so what we want to do from the start of this year, if you want to write a screenplay, is make that decision that you're going to honor this process and you're going to allow yourself to be a little obsessive about it. More times than I can like to admit. Okay, I'm not the only one. I'm so glad. I'm like, okay, I'm the only one that's experienced that. Right? So it's like really deciding at the start of the year, I'm going to honor it. And, you know, I sort of go through a process when I'm getting ready to write a script. I become very conscious about what movies I'm watching, what scripts I'm reading. I don't like to muddy the waters too much. I also become very conscious, like, you know, in my surroundings where I work, for instance, I'll start putting things on the wall that inspire me, that feel like part of the world of that script. It's all very intuitive. It's not the thinking, intellectual side of things. There's just things like right now, I've already started to do it in here for the script that I'm going to work on. You know, I have a book of poetry there that relates to the island where this place takes place, the film takes place. You know, I've put some pictures on the wall. So it's like, I start to create an environment for myself where it's like, I can just sit here and gaze at certain pictures, gaze at certain things, and I'm in the world of my script, right? And it's tuning out like everything that's not the script in a sense. And this is really such a beautiful and powerful thing to do because it will just get you into that kind of like that very intense feeling with it, and that will get it done. I'm telling you now. If you just have, like if you're sitting in a room and it's full of reminders of your script and it's full of things that like inspire you and light you up and get you going with the script, it's really going to help you to get your script written. So it's not just something that's like, oh, I got to write my script, but it becomes like this whole sort of world for you to dive into. This is really important for me. Now, the second thing, other than tuning out the noise, there's one other aspect I should add to tuning out the noise. The other aspect to tuning out the noise is you might have people in your life, or you might even have a part of your brain that says that this is a waste of time. There might be, you know, like voices in your head or in your life that are saying to you, you know, like, nothing is getting made. The film industry is screwed. You'll never get paid for this. You'll never get the money for this. It's not going to work, right? Anyone got any of those voices? And as I said, it might be people around you. It might be newspapers. It might be someone you follow on the internet. And it might be voices in your own head. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But this is also tuning out the noise. We now have to enter a space of absolute faith with our screenplay. And it's like, it's a little crazy. It's a little bit crazy. I mean, let's think about it. I think I read that last year, 67,000 screenplays were registered with the WGA in America, 67,000. And 777 movies got released in the cinema. You can do the math. The odds are not good. So it's a little crazy. But a little crazy is what gets us there. So we have to tune out that noise as well. We have to tune out that negativity and that sort of like, you know, the logical, practical part of your brain that's going, oh, this is probably a waste of time anyway, because we just have to silence that. And that's why I'm always like, blinkers on. You just put your, you know, like horses, how they have those things. Are they called blinkers or blinders? I don't know. But those things. So they can't see anything except the road ahead. And I want you to be like that with your script. It's just like, okay, there's all these people over there saying that it was never going to happen. Fuck it. Right? I've just got my blinkers on and I'm just going to ignore them and I'm going to keep going because that's what's going to get you there. Now, this point, though, kind of corresponds with the next thing I want to talk about, which is number 2 on 4 things you got to do if you're going to write your script this year. Number 2 is you've got to manage your mind. This is such a big one. I think this is the number 1 reason that most people won't write their screenplays this year. We are addicted to our stories that we're not good, our stories that we're not talented enough, our stories that we've left it too late, our stories that, it's hard, our stories that we don't have time. And what I'd invite you to do, even as I'm saying these things, is, right now, just for yourself, like if you think about the idea, okay, you're going to write your script and you're going to either sell it or get it made, whichever is your sort of dream for that script, what could stop you from writing your script and selling it or getting it made? What could stop you from achieving that goal? And it's really important. And I'm going to ask you, like you can start doing it now if you've got pen and paper, or do it after this. Just write down that question. What could stop me? And take this very seriously, because it's not those things that could stop you, but it's you believing those things. Do I need to say that again? It's not actually those things, it's you believing them. So for instance, let's just take a very common one. I don't have enough time. Like, to be honest, that came to me when I decided that my goal this year is to rewrite this one script and get it off the ground, right? Like, that's my goal. I'm just calling it. I'm very vulnerable here. I'm telling you the truth, guys. This is my goal for 2025. And I went, okay, immediately I go, what could stop me from doing it? And my number one thing that I said to myself was, I don't have enough time. I run this business. I'm a mother, right? I teach. I've got a lot of different students and a lot of different programs that I do. How the fuck am I going to have the time to actually rewrite a script and go out and get it made? Like, where's this going to fit in? I have so much extra time at the moment, let me tell you. Does anybody else here, what do you think? Have you got like a number one, like what's your number one reason that you would not achieve your goal of writing your script and getting it out into the world? What's your number one reason? Natasha says, how do you balance tuning out the noise and reading scripts and watching movies that inspire you? It's very intuitive, Natasha. It's very intuitive. It's like either nourishing me and it's like helping expand me for the script, or it's sort of distracting me and muddying the waters. And I can't say that there's like a hard and fast rule about it. It's just intuitive. It's just intuitive. Usually when I get to the point, if I'm actually writing a script from scratch, like breaking a new story, writing something absolutely new, there's a period in which I really don't watch or read anything. There's a period in which I do watch and read as inspiration and as sort of food and ideas. But then there's a period at which I'm just like, no, I don't even watch. I just tune out. I don't watch anything. I don't have time to, because I'm writing my script, right? So there's a period where it's like totally focused on the script, and I don't like to watch or read anything at that point. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the reasons that we feel like we won't achieve our goal. And I said time, and someone said 4 kids and work, taking care of disabled mother. You have a lot on your plate. You have a lot on your plate. I totally empathize and I totally get it. And I'm like, yes. And I'm not going to lie and go like, oh, it's really easy. But what we need to do is just recognize the story that we're going to tell ourselves, that we don't have time, so that we can start to address it. Okay. Somebody else said inertia. Inertia's good. Mandy, it's Mandy. Hello, Mandy. Happy New Year. Inertia's a possible. Yeah. Okay. So inertia. Until short shorts. Lee. Hello, Happy New Year. I have a lot of excuses. I'm too tired. I've no time. It's too hard to find a publisher. Okay? So, yep. And these are all stories that we'll tell ourselves. Looking for a new job. Yeah. Mine is lack of confidence and lack of know-how. I don't write every day and spend too much time fearing it's not good. Yeah. So what's really great is once you get this, the reasons, and I would encourage you to actually get a whole page and write as much as you can on it as to why, I will never do this thing. Here's why it's absolutely impossible that I'm going to write my script and get it out into the world this year. And you just write it all down, write every reason you can come up with. I'm too old, I'm too lazy, I'm not talented enough, I lack the confidence, I don't know enough about screenwriting, I don't know anyone in the screenwriting world anyway, I don't know what I do with it when I finish, all the things. And then after you have done this, you have to look back at what you have written. And you have to do 2 things. One, for some of the things you've written, you've got to ask yourself, is that really true? Like, for instance, am I really too old? Well, let's think. There are screenwriters who are much older than me who have written screenplays and actually won Oscars. So, not too old. right? So there's those kinds of reasons, like reasons that you're like, I'm never going to do this because I'm too old. That's just not true. But then there's other kinds of reasons there that you've got to be like, how am I going to deal with this? Like the lack of time one. And I had to look at this for myself because the lack of time is not going to stop me. What is going to stop me is me telling myself that I don't have enough time. Because here's something that I know to be true about screenwriting. You don't need a lot of time. You don't need to sit at your desk all day long. You don't. You can actually do tons of this screenwriting work while you're doing other things. For instance, when you're driving to work, when you're in the shower, when you're doing the dishes, when you're making dinner, when you're feeding your child. Like, you can be doing the work of writing your screenplay while you are doing these things. And then when you actually have time to get in front of your laptop, type it in. Right? And this is so important because it's so important that we address whatever it is that we think is going to stop us and really like figure out our strategies for how we're going to deal it. Now, if your issue is about lack of time, what I would encourage you to do and what I'm doing for myself, I do a method called time blocking for actually like planning my week and planning my month. And it's that thing of make sure you're scheduling it in. Don't just say, I'm going to write when I feel like it. And don't just say, I'm going to write for 10 hours on Saturday. It's not realistic. You're not going to write for 10 hours on Saturday. So schedule it in, and it might just be 30 minutes a day actually in front of your laptop. It is incredible what you can get done in 30 minutes if you've been thinking about it. And so that goes into that thing like training our minds to be thinking about it all the time. So we're not just like sitting down and doing our screenwriting work for an hour in front of the computer at some point, but we're actually doing it all day. Right? Just like as I say, every time that you're doing something that doesn't really require your brain, you're thinking about your screenplay. You're going, okay, what's that next scene? How's that going to work? How's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? And then when you sit down, you're like, boom, 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 ready to go, ready to go. Okay? So that's the time one. Now let's have a look at things like -1, lack of confidence. So if we're like, I lack confidence, I lacked so much confidence when I started writing my first screenplay. I was just like, oh my God, I'm shit, I'm rubbish. But you can, again, this is about managing your mind. Right? So if you can identify that, you go, the problem for me is I lack confidence. Okay. So I recognize that. How do I build my confidence? I know the number one way to build your confidence as a screenwriter is to write screenplays. Like, let's think about confidence. If you're like, I just lack confidence. If you've never done it before, it's legitimate. You're right to lack confidence. For instance, if a 2-year-old could speak with, say, a 1.5-year-old, they can't speak. But if this 1.5-year-old was a genius and you said to it, are you confident about walking? Are you confident about your ability to walk across this room? They're like, hell no, I've never done it before, right? It's perfectly natural not to be confident if you've not done it before. How do you become confident that you can walk across a room? Guess what you do? Anyone here had a baby and watched them learn to walk? You fall over a lot, right? You stand up on those wobbly little legs that are so cute and adorable and you fall over. Right? And then you do it again and you stand up and you fall over. You stand up and you fall over. And after you've done it so many times, guess what happens? You start to be able to walk across the room. And then you practice, you walk across the room 50 times and you're like, I'm really confident. If I said to you, are you confident you can walk across the room? You're like, Diane, are you kidding me? Right? Like, yeah, no problem. I could walk anywhere, right? You weren't always that way. So if we think lack of confidence was going to hold us back, we just got to accept, you know what? It's okay for me not to be great at the very beginning if this is the first screenplay I've ever written. I get to fall down. It's okay. Nobody's going to see you fall down. It's totally private. And then I just practice and I keep practicing and I keep getting better and I keep getting better. But the only way I get better is by practicing. And the only way I become a confident screenwriter, like confident in my own abilities, is actually by doing the work. Like, that's how you'll get confident at it. You don't need to be confident before you start. It's okay. You just have to have faith that you can get better if you practice. And if you're wondering about that, isn't it true that everything you've done where you practiced it, you got better at it? Everything. Every single thing in your life, if you wanted to do it, at the beginning it was really hard, you practiced it and you got good at it. Right? Whatever it is. Screenwriting is not going to be any different. Some people might hit the ground running. Some people, it might take a lot of time, a lot of practice to get good at this. It's a craft. You don't pick up a guitar for the first time and expect to be able to play it and be a great guitar player, do you? And you're like, I'm not confident. But what you can be confident is that if you just every day sit there for half an hour with that guitar in your hands, 1 year later, after half an hour a day, you're going to be pretty good. Maybe not the best guitar player in the world, but you're going to be a lot better than you were a year ago. So if we can take that attitude to the screenwriting, like I'm just going to show up, I'm going to do the thing. Now, managing your mind is an ongoing business. It's not something that we do once. It's like, I've managed my mind and now I can go write my screenplay. It's going to be fabulous. It's not like that, right? Managing your mind is just like daily, monthly, all the time, right? It's just like all the time. Like, how am I feeling about this? And really looking out for when we make it mean that we shouldn't be doing it, when we're giving up, when we're like giving our power to those stories, right? When we're like, oh, I just don't have time. It's never going to work because I don't have time, or whatever it is. It's funny. I keep going back to that because that's the one that I'm afraid of. That's the one that's got power over me right now. And I'm wrestling with it because I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, I'm just going to do it. But I know that it's a story. I know that if I really want to do this, that I can find the time. I'll make the time. I'll get up half an hour earlier. I've done it before. I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning to write screenplays because it was the only time I could get before my baby woke up, right? Before my child woke up. So I'd set the alarm for 4:30 in the morning to get up then to write my screenplay. So it's like, how much do you want to do it? You'll figure it out if you want to do it, right? Okay. Be comfortable with failure so you can make it your wins. Absolutely. And the failure is the path, so that's that thing. Manage your mind. Manage your mind also means that most of us have got into screenwriting because we have pretty good taste, right? We know what a good film is. And hopefully you've read a few screenplays, so you know what a good screenplay looks like. And then you're writing your screenplay and you're like, I'm shit. You read back the page of screenwriting, the screenplay, and you're like, oh my God, it's shit. It's awful. I'm terrible. I'm like a total hack. My descriptions are so cliched. My characters, my dialogue, everything is just like, it's awful. You've probably seen those memes where it's like, in my mind, and it's this beautiful horse. And then my screenplay, and it's like a stick figure of a horse, right? You know what I'm talking about? These memes where it's, like what you imagine and then what is on the page. And it's like, oh, it's a piece of shit. It's shit. But, this is, again, managing your mind. Because this is let me remind you, the only way to get to the good pages is to be willing to write the bad pages. And as bad as you think your pages are, I can almost promise that I've written worse ones. Okay? Like, you write bad pages. And one of my most important bits of advice that I can give you if you're going to write a screenplay this year is give yourself permission to write crap. You can even write it somewhere and put it above your desk. You have permission to write crap. Just write the bad version of the scene. Now, in Hollywood, to be honest, I cannot even tell you how many times I heard people say that, like in meetings, when they would give an idea for a scene, like, oh, here's the bad version of it, right? Because it just gets us off the hook. So get it off the hook for you. Give yourself permission to write the crappy version of your script. It's fine. Because having the crappy version is what's going to give you something to take you to the good version, right? You don't start with perfect. Nobody starts with perfect. And this is a big thing that a lot of us are doing. We're comparing our first draft to somebody else's 30th draft. And we're like, it's shit. They're such a good writer. They're just obviously so talented and I'm just terrible. No, that's not true. They've just worked on it. They've worked on it and worked on it until it gets good. I'm seeing people say, yeah, you can always rewrite it. You can always edit a bad page. That's it. But you cannot edit a page that's not written. So give yourself permission. And that's the thing. Manage your mind. When you start getting in your head about, I'm not good enough, it's not good enough, wait on, right? I'm just writing my first draft here. Or I'm just writing my second draft, right? Like, I'm working on it. I give myself permission to write crap. I give myself permission to fail every page. It's absolutely fine. I'm going to get there. So manage your mind, okay? That's so important. So the third thing that we need to make sure we have if we want to write a screenplay this year is a realistic plan to do it. Now, I'm just a big fan of this because I know that the big problem for me when I set out to write my first screenplay was that I didn't have a plan. It was just sort of like I had an idea. And many people seem to think an idea is enough to start writing a screenplay. I've got this great idea. right? 9 times out of 10 is not actually a story. It's an idea. It's a premise. It's not a whole story. And so you start writing the screenplay and you're just like, oh, baby girl, I love that. So, you start writing your screenplay and you don't really know where it's going. And you don't really have a plan for how you're going to write it. And you don't really have a plan for where it's going. You don't really have a plan for what this is. And guess what? Like, setting off on this journey with zero plan is a recipe for disaster. You're not going to get there. I hate to say it. It's that thing like trying to, navigate somewhere and you don't have a compass and you don't have a roadmap and you don't have a clue how you're going to get there, really. You might get there, but probably not. So creating a realistic plan for yourself, part of this for me is deciding, some sort of target for when you want to have written it. I don't necessarily like deadlines. I don't really do dates. Sometimes I do. I do some sort of dates. Like for myself right now with my rewrite, I'm sort of going, okay, I'm probably going to spend the next, ideally 2 months, maybe 3. See, it's not really fixed in that way. What matters to me more, when we talk about realistic plan, is your actual plan for when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it. So for instance, if you're writing a first draft of a screenplay, what I always recommend to people is find a rhythm of writing that suits you. And a rhythm of writing that has suited me when I'm working on first drafts is doing 4 pages a day, 5 days a week. And it's that thing of deciding, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Here's going to be my strategy for actually getting my script done. So I'm not just going to say, I'll write when I feel like it, I'll write when I feel inspired. But instead you go, okay, I'm going to commit to, getting in front of my laptop every single day, 5 days a week. I like to take weekends off. I think it's good for your brain to not be at the laptop every day. I think it's good for your brain to treat it like a job too, right? I'm just going to say it. Because the goal here, I think, is not just to write a single screenplay, but, to be a professional screenwriter, right? To step into that kind of mentality. So it's not just like knocking it off, staying up all night over 2 nights or something to write a screenplay, but, really treating this like a professional. And so getting into that kind of energy and that vibe and going, okay, I'm going to write every day. I'm going to spend, 5 days a week. I'm going to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And as I said, my goal usually when I'm writing in a first draft is 4 pages a day, 5 days a week. And you can do the math. That means you write 20 pages each week. And then in 5 weeks, you have 100 pages. And that's the screenplay, right? So that's my normal sort of rhythm. Now, people that I've worked with, some people go 4 pages is too much for me. Some people say it's too little. I think if you've really worked with your outline a lot, like you've really flushed it out, you can probably do more. But I like to make it on the low side so it's non-negotiable. Like for me, saying that I'm going to do 4 pages a day, I can do more if I want to. If I feel like writing 6 or 7, if I'm in a good flow and it really feels like the right thing, then I'll write more. But, I know that I can always do 4 pages. Like that's minimum. And I know that I can do that. So I would invite you to think about your plan, right? If you're coming to this and you haven't written a screenplay at all before, if you're watching this and you're like, I have not done any character work, I've not done any outlining, you want to probably take the next month to do that groundwork. So it's not just diving in. And that's that thing of having a realistic plan. You've got to understand what you're doing and have some sense of how you're going to do it. And I say this is just smart if you want to actually get it done. If you're just like, I don't really care, I'm just having fun and I just, write when I feel like it, have fun with it, be my guest. But don't be surprised if you give up. Don't be surprised if you're just like, oh, this, I don't know, you get to page 60 or something and it just peters out. Don't be surprised, right? And you'll remember my words. You'll be like, shit, I didn't have a plan. So get a plan, make a plan, enact the plan. Now, number 4 that I have on this list is get some support. And this is always a thing, I just go, look, it is easier to get to the ocean as part of a river than as a single drop of water. Okay? I didn't make that up, by the way. My teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said that many, many times, right? It's easier to get to the ocean as part of a river than as a single drop of water. Now, I just go, there are people who have done this before, who know how to do it, who can guide you, who can support you, who can help just like make this fun for you. or you can do it alone. And it's not that you can't do it, if you want to do it by yourself, you can. But I almost guarantee it's going to be quicker, more fun, and all the things if you have proper support. So if you can, go get support. Now, I offer a number of free things. I also have an incredible course called Write Your Screenplay in 8 Weeks. And if you're serious about writing your screenplay this week, it's the best investment you could make. Okay, I'm just going to say it. It's a fantastic course. It's the course it's the course that works. I mean, it's worked for literally hundreds of people. I'm thinking that this year we might cross the 1,000 mark of people who've used this program. But this program just works, because it guides you through the process of writing a screenplay week by week with just like really precise instructions. I made a new version of the course last year. Like, it'd been around for 4 years, but last year I made a new version, and the new version is even better than the old one. Baby girl, it'd be so great. And, so what I've decided to do for January is to put it on sale so that if you're serious about writing a screenplay this year, you can sign up and it's seriously reduced. So it's normally $497, but it's basically like half off that at the moment, which is incredible. So if you want to do that, I will share a link, or I think it might be in my links. It might not be actually, but you can DM me as well. So Write Your Screenplay in 8 Weeks. If you want to learn more about that program and more about that methodology, you can go to dianebell.com/free screenwriting class. I know. And you can watch a free screenwriting class. And in that class, it will give you all the details about the course so you can really see if it's a good fit for you, right? But the thing is, with that course, you will have support. Besides from the actual weekly lessons, and so it's an 8-week course, it guides you first in actually the foundation work for writing your screenplay. So the first thing that you'll learn is really like, the anatomy of a screenplay. You're going to learn about characters. Characters for me are the essence of screenplays, and they are the first building block. If you try to write a screenplay, but you don't even know who the characters are, you don't know anything about them, trust me, you're not going to write a good screenplay. And I don't care if you say, oh, but my screenplay is really plot driven. It's not really, it's not that deep about the characters. I don't care, because let me tell you, all screenplays are about people, and people are the heart of it all. And if your characters aren't good, you do not have a good screenplay. But when you nail the characters from the start, and it's that thing of doing the character work before you even start writing the screenplay, then you write something that comes alive. And that's what I want for everybody, that you write something that really has like a richness and a depth to it from the start. And so you take the time to do that character work. Hello, Tom. I'll head to your site. Okay, cool. Yes. I can, as I say, it's so funny that I haven't got it here. The dianebell.com/ free screenwriting class is where you would just get this a class that will give you an idea about the course. I'm going to put it here. /free screenwriting class. And that will get you into a free class that will give you all the info about the course. So, you do the character work, then you do the outlining. And I guide you in the outlining. Everything that I do in that course, I just try to make it really simple, right? Really not overwhelming. And, really give you the tools that you need to like develop your own system. And I always have this. It's not just about like listen to what I do and do it my way, but I want you to become that clear channel for the story that's coming through you. And I want you to have the tools that you need to actually get it on the page so that it's a fantastic screenplay. And that's the goal of this program, right? It's not to give you to make you do it the way that I do it. I couldn't give a shit about that. And anyone who tells you that there's only one way to do it, like you have to do it like this, do not listen to them. What my job is as your teacher and mentor is to empower you to find your own process, but give you the tools and the knowledge so that you can actually do that in an effective way and write the best screenplay that you can, because that's what it's really about. Mandy, thank you so much. Mandy said, I've done this course and it was instrumental in getting the TV show that I was writing with a friend finished, sold, and aired on British TV. And Mandy, congratulations so much on that. That's epic success. It's amazing. I mean, so many people actually last year, I feel like 3 films got made as a result from that course, which is kind of amazing. that started life in that course. Many more got optioned, and I think more will get made, this year. But the course, I just go, it does work. If you want to write a screenplay, it does work. It's not, it just works. Like, it will give you a framework, it will give you support, it will give you guidance. So just to be clear, the course, like, you get one lesson a week for 8 weeks. It guides you through that process. By the end of 8 weeks, you'll have a completed first draft. Usually people finish in week 7. Just a lot of people finish in week 7. Not all, but a lot. So that's a possibility. And during that time, when you sign up, you also get special live sessions with me in our Facebook group. We do have a Facebook group, and you can ask me questions. So you're not alone. Like, there is support. You can always reach out in the Facebook group and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I don't know how to do that. And you'll get help. And then, we'll be there to celebrate you. So check the course out. Check the course out. I just want to make sure that you guys get the discounted. That's why I'm going, the discounted version of it, because I have made a massive discount for January for people that want to write their screenplay this year. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask questions here. Character development is key. It completely is. It's key in a couple of ways, in a number of ways. Scripts get made, and part of your thinking does need to be like, how am I going to get this thing made, right? Who's going to buy this? Scripts get made because they have great roles for actors. Like, actors are absolutely key to getting films made. And if you write great parts and they're parts that actors want to play, you're on a faster track to getting your script made. It's so important. The other aspect, though, is not so much about that, like how we get our scripts made, but it's just about the audience experience of it. I'll always say this, but we go to the movies to go on journeys with people, and it's really always about that. Deep underneath it all, it's about that. And it's usually about the transformation of somebody in some way. It's about somebody going on a journey that changes them in some way. And we go on it with them. And we have to care about them, and we have to believe them. For me, believability is everything. My favorite quote about cinema ever comes from an Iranian filmmaker, Abbas Kiarostami, and he said, good cinema is when I can believe it, bad cinema is when I don't. And I always think about that, and I'm like, that's it with our characters. If you have believable characters, and they're rich and they're deep and they're complex in all the ways that real humans are, you're on the way to writing a great script, whatever the story is. But if your characters are, they're just like puppets. They're the puppets. It's a puppet show. It's not that interesting. And I can, I read a lot of scripts, a lot of scripts. And I think it's something that always really stands out to me. I can, and I'll say to the screenwriter afterwards, because I'm reading them, for consultations and things. And I often say, like, did you do the character? Have you done much character work? Like, when was this person actually born? Or when did they meet? Or when did that happen in their life? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, you can tell. You need to know everything about your characters. Like, when you know everything, and I can feel it when I read a script. Like, these feel real because these people have histories, and it's solid and it's rooted, and it's not like, I don't really know when they were born. I don't really know when that happened. Right? It's just like flimsy. It's the puppet show. They're just shadow puppets. I sometimes wish I had a co-writer to be able to bounce ideas from. I'm okay to write my own, but it would be nice to be able to add different perspectives. Yeah, co-writing is like, it's interesting. It can be wonderful, but it can be really challenging too. I think if you find the right person, it can be really great. One of the things that I think about co-writing, usually one person is still like the dominant person in a sense, right? And that's the challenge of it, I think, if you're just like really co-writers. I had one great experience co-writing a screenplay, which was with John McTiernan, the director of Die Hard and Predator and movies like that. And it was an incredible experience, but, it was very clear that, it was his script. And although I was technically a co-writer, I was there to help him channel his vision, not impose mine, So I was just there to like absolutely be that sounding board and to throw ideas out there and to actually write the scenes, write stuff. But, but it's different, So something I think about that, like I wish I had a co-writer. I'm always like, be careful what you wish for, because it can also be a lot of power struggles. I did have an experience of writing a screenplay where it's just like, oh, it wasn't fun because it wasn't my script. I found it really frustrating. Is the course for feature scripts or TV? So Dwight, it's actually designed for feature scripts. It was made for feature scripts, but a lot of people have used it to write TV pilots. And what happens is when you sign up, you get access to a bonus class that tells you what you need to do if you want to write and sell a TV pilot. Now, just to be clear, I wrote and sold 2 pilots. Neither of them got made ultimately. Welcome to TV. And so I have never had TV made, but I have had the experience of like writing and selling TV pilots. Whereas feature scripts feel like my bread and butter. Like I've written a lot of scripts for a lot of people, feature scripts. And so that feels more like it's solid ground for me. And obviously I've made 3 feature films. So this course was designed for featured writing, but you can use it for TV. And a lot of people have used it for TV. And there is a bonus class that would explain to you the differences and what you do need to know if you're writing for TV. Okay, features. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for explaining that. Okay, the better the character is developed, the more you know how he'll react. Absolutely. And that's why for me, like character drives story, always, 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 always. If you know your characters really well, you always know what's going to happen next. And you also know what needs to happen. And you also know what's the most satisfying thing to happen. So when you're, struggling your way through your second act, going, but what could happen now? It's always like, okay, what does my character need to face? And that will always like keep you going. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up in a minute. We have covered today 4 things that you need to do if you're going to write your screenplay this year. The first thing was tune out the noise. And it's that blinkers on kind of vibe and really creating that obsessive thing with your movie. And then also number 2 was managing your mind, which means like really watching out for the stories you're going to tell yourself about why you can't do this. And those stories will stop you. Let me just make it clear that if we're not vigilant, the stories will win. The stories that you're not talented enough, the story that you left it too late, the story that you don't have enough time, whatever the story is that you like to tell, those stories will stop you. So you've really got to learn how to manage those so that you don't let them win. Number 3, make a realistic plan. Don't just think, okay, I'm going to start this and somehow I'm going to finish it. That's how I did my first screenplay, and that's why it took me 3 freaking years. So if you want to write your screenplay this year, not 3 years from now, right? Like, trust me, you need a plan. Like, make a plan for yourself. Set some goals, reverse engineer it, break it down, get serious, get committed, get in the groove, and you will get there. And number 4 is get support. Get yourself in a group. Even, and as I said, if write your screenplay in 8 weeks isn't for you at the moment, for whatever reason, if it doesn't feel aligned for you, and honestly, if you do want to write a screenplay, I'd say it's the best investment you can make. You will write your screenplay. But if it doesn't feel aligned for some reason, I am around. I share a lot of free things. You can go to my podcast, Shoot from the Heart. You'll find a lot of helpful podcasts there. Tomorrow, at the same time, I'm going to do a follow-up to this where we're actually going to get into more of the practicals of writing your screenplay. So today we've been sort of like talking about the foundational things, but tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about actual craft, screenwriting craft, and what you need to do on that front to write your screenplay. And please come along and obviously bring your questions as well. Now, before we wrap this up, does anybody else have any questions or anything you'd like to know? Thanks, I'm feeling the fire inside again. Me too. Me too. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. And, if you have already written your screenplay, because a bunch of people have been writing me saying, I've already written my screenplay, but I don't know what to do with it. There's a couple things. Actually, what I'll probably do is I'll do something like this next week for if you want to, sell your script or you want to get your script made. We'll follow up with something next week about that. Can you let me know if my place is secured on the 3-day masterclass? Yeah, I'm not sure the German Jam. I'm not sure who you are, but I will have a look. If you signed up, you should be good. Because, yeah, guys, I didn't even mention that. But next week on the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th, we're going to be doing the Quantum Year Masterclass. And it's completely free. So if you haven't signed up for that, get yourself signed up. That is at dianebell.com/quantum year. So I'm obsessed, like literally obsessed with the mindset and the underlying subconscious aspects that are vital to your success. And the reason that I'm obsessed with this is because I feel like most people don't achieve their dreams or get close to because they don't understand those aspects of things. And so You didn't get an email. Okay, I'm going to look into it. I'll look into that, German. And if we've already bought the course, can we still access the live support? Yes, you can. So as long as you're in the Facebook group, you can. Now that is Miss Karen French. That is if you bought it last year. There was an option for alumni, like if you bought it pre-2024, then there was an option to upgrade so that you can get the live support. So if you bought it before, maybe what I should do is send out an email to everybody, alumni again, and just say, hey, if you want to continue with live support, there was an upgrade to join it. And really for that, it's just, it's quite simply, obviously, I mean, there was a lot of people over many different years. So yeah, so if you want to upgrade to that, you can. And if you bought it last year, you're already in, so you should be good. Okay, so what was I saying? Quantum year. For me, like when we want to sell screenplays, when we want to make movies, what we're wanting to do is something that is not typical. And we're looking for a result which is like the 1% result. It's probably like the 1.5%, but it's not a common result. Most screenplays don't get made. Most movies don't get made, Most movies don't succeed when they do get made. So what we're looking for is something that's like above and beyond. And I think like to create those kinds of results in our life, we really have to understand something of the energetics. Because if we don't understand the energetics, what's going to happen is we're going to put a lot of effort in and we're not going to be getting very much back. And we're going to get very frustrated and burnt out and exhausted and give up. And I actually, what brought me to this and what brought me to really study this and to teach this is the fact that that's how I ended up myself with my screenwriting and filmmaking. And it's something I don't talk about very much because, we tend to talk about the success parts. And so I talk about how I sold my first screenplay and I talk about how I got my film in Sundance. But I don't really talk about that much, what happened after that. The point at which I sort of like just thought, I'm just fed up with this, all right, where I got burnt out. And, I'm starting to think that I need to talk about that more because it's really what brought me to this moment and to, teaching on these things and to really like digging into it in a whole other way. Because, when I created the success that I did, selling my first screenplay and getting hired for a job and getting my movie in Sundance, all these different things that were like irrational, illogical successes, I was doing a lot of things without realizing what I was doing, right? I was like, practicing yoga all the time. I was a yoga teacher before. I was really in good energy, good vibes. I was just like in this really positive, clear state all the time. But what happened for me was that when my first film, Obs Lydia, got in Sundance, it really triggered me. And I had hit what I now call the upper limit problem. I'd hit my upper limit. I really, as much as that had been my dream and as much as that was what I wanted more than anything, when it actually happened, it's like, who the fuck am I to be doing this, right? Imposter syndrome writ large. And, there was just a lot of fear. It triggered a lot of fear in me. And consequently, like the dominant energy in my life after that, making decisions in terms of making other films and what I was writing and what I was doing, my dominant energy was actually fear. And it sounds funny because you think like, if your big dream has just come true and you got your movie at Sundance, you're going to the Sundance Screenwriters Lab and all this stuff, you think then that like, why would you be fearful, right? Like you're living the dream. But actually, suddenly I was like inside, like knotted up with fear. And what resulted from that is like a lot of bad decisions that ended up with me just feeling frustrated and burnt out and tired. And, it's like, like so many things that I didn't love, right? So many things that it just wasn't good. Making films that weren't really working, all kinds of stuff. And that led to me just feeling like I've just had enough. I'm just burnt out. Like I'm doing, and I'm not getting amazing results and I don't feel great in this and I'm frustrated and I'm not feeling good in myself. And it was at that point I was like, actually, I'm just going to step away from this and I'm going to do something else. And that's when I started my online teaching business. So I share this with you because when I started my online teaching business, I also devoted myself to my own self-development, my own self-growth. And, this was like 7 years ago that this sort of happened, 7 years ago. And yeah, it was 7 years ago. And I didn't start the business till later, but it was 7 years ago that I started this journey really, that I felt burnt out with screenwriting. And, it's just really interesting because, as I started to really study this stuff, I started to see why I'd had the success that I had. And as I said, at the time when I had the success, it was very unconscious. But I started to see why I had that success. And I also started to see why I started to not have so much success and why I started to struggle more and got burnt out. And, this stuff is important. Because, we tend to think in life, if I just write a great script and I do good stuff, I'm going to be a success and everything's going to be wonderful. But it doesn't actually work like that. It doesn't work like that. The reason that so many people, we talk about, say, with bands, who have like one big album that's a big hit and then the next one tanks. And you go, why? It's this. And we've got to prepare ourselves. And what I want to do with you, in Quantum Year, you're going to learn how to set yourself up for that quantum leap in your life. So if you're like wanting to just have a year that just like skyrockets, and it's possible to do that, right? Where you start the year and it's like, okay, I'm going to write a script, so I'm going to try and sell it. You could a year from now be like, your script is sold and getting made, and your life has completely changed in 1 year, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about in Quantum Year. How do we actually like hit that illogical accelerator where we tend to think like we've got to go like step at a time to reach the success that we want. But what I want to show you is how you can make a leap. So we don't have to go 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, and we can just leap to what you really want, right? And this stuff is amazing. It's going to be an incredible workshop. I'm super excited to do it. It's free, by the way. So you can sign up. It's free. It's dianebell.com/quantum year. Sign up. Totally free. You will walk away super inspired. There's going to be tons of value. It's going to be that big picture of like your energy to create epic success in 2025 and beyond. Because I'm not just interested in helping you create one success. I really want to help you make the big, deep shifts inside yourself so that you can create ongoing success for yourself. Okay, I am going to wrap this up now. I'm just going to check the questions. I guess you can use the fear to push forward and keep achieving. Yeah, you can. My experience is that ultimately fear does not bring good results. That's my own experience with it. I feel like when we are in a dominant energy of love, gratitude, excitement, anticipation, when we're enjoying it, like that generally attracts good results. Whereas when we're in an energy of like, it generally doesn't. So that's my own experience with that. We can use it to push forward a bit, but at a certain point, it backfires on us. I almost guarantee it. I have a dream to pursue film as a career, but I'm scared. Welcome to the party. It's okay. You're allowed to be scared, but you just don't let the fear stop you. I don't know how because no one supports it. Yeah, that's just that thing of, first of all, you don't need to tell anyone about your dreams. I'm really big on this, that if people around you don't support it, if they're like, you're crazy, you're never going to do that, like who do you think you are? Just don't tell them what you're trying to do. Trust me, when I was writing my first screenplay, I really didn't tell very many people at all because I knew they would just all think I was batshit crazy. So I didn't do it. And same thing when I was making my first film. It's nobody's business. So you just get, and that's that thing that I shared earlier, for you to succeed writing your screenplay this week, blinkers on, tune out the noise. Doesn't matter what other people think. Doesn't matter if they support it or not. They can't stop you doing what you want to do. So if you want to write your screenplay, if like you were going, okay, it's like, what do you want to do in film? If you want to write screenplays, write your screenplay. And to be honest, if you want to direct, often the smartest thing you can do is learn how to be a screenwriter. Like so many directors, that's how they launch their careers. Write a good screenplay, direct it yourself, right? That's a really good path. But don't worry about what other people say. I want to commit, so I'll treat it like a job. Good. Okay, good. All right, my loves, I'm going to wrap this up today. So thank you so much for being here. And if you want to do that free class on screenwriting, you can go to dianebell.com/free screenwriting class. Free screenwriting class. It's easy. Thanks for a great hour. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. Yes, I will have a look. I will take a look. And I may not do it immediately though, because I got to go feed my kids. so children need to eat first, but I will do it later. 5 pages a day. I will write the scenes that I think will be pushed forward. Yeah, 5 pages a day is amazing. And, it's just that thing, 5 pages a day, 5 days a week. Take the weekends off unless you're really desperate. And it's just getting yourself into that rhythm. You don't have to write the best scenes. And that's one of the things about just like holding yourself to a certain number of pages, that it's no longer about, like, oh, I've got to write a really great scene. It's just, I just got to crank them out, right? I just got to keep going and get the pages down. Yes, feed the children. I know. Children come first. Okay, so you guys, I am going to go. Same time tomorrow. We'll go in tomorrow and we're going to do some more stuff about the actual craft of screenwriting. If you have questions, bring your questions. Let's get you like set up, locked and loaded and ready to go and write your script this year and really get you on the fast track to success. That's my son. I can hear my son creeping up to the door right now. He's like, Mom. All right, my loves. Thank you so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.